What is going on, people? Welcome to the Big Dudes in the Trenches podcast. And by dudes, I mean Dug and Tug.
I'm so excited. It is the best time of year. I think you've got a few games on. I've got a game on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is college football season.
There is college football happening right now. So, as I said Saturday when I was live with Bug, if you turn us off to go watch college football,
We understand.
I get it. Come back later. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on audio platforms. Appreciate you checking us out. Go watch some football. It's okay. We're doing that simultaneously while talking about some more football. So this is Thursday, week 1. There are 33 games across Division 1 happening tonight. There's only like 3 happening tomorrow. And then we have a whole slate on Saturday. We have a game on Sunday. And we have a game on Monday. That's 5 straight days with college football action. You know, we're lapping up every second of it.
Dude, I'm so excited. We've already had one upset this year, right? We've got potentially, and I will say potentially, an upset brewing in Boulder.
That's brutal. You can't jinx it like that, man. I don't even believe in jinxes, and you're jinxing it.
I said potentially. I did not say it is happening. I said it is potentially brewing down in Boulder.
Well, if we're going to play that game, there's another one potentially brewing down in North Carolina with Western Carolina and NC State.
This is why we love college football. It's exciting.
And it looked like Howard was going to play Rutgers pretty close too, but Rutgers ended up pulling away.
Well,
anyway,
Piscataway YMCA, it happens.
Bug is not with us. The reasons why will become clear a little bit later. We will get to that.
I think Rule 1 comes into factor here.
Well, it's actually something different. We'll get there. Hold your horses. Right. I got something that'll demonstrate why. I just want to shout out that this episode of the BDT podcast is dedicated to all the lovers, all the haters, and the people that call themselves players.
We're getting back to our roots, I see.
This episode of the BDT podcast is dedicated to the hot mamas, to the pimp daddies, and the people rolling up in caddies.
Are we getting back to our roots and Doug is parodying songs again? Oh, it must be football season.
It's not even a parody. That's straight up rolling by Limp Bizkit. That's like bannable. We got to stop for copyright reasons. All right, so let's get going here and talk about some football that's coming up this weekend. Of course,
tell me what you're going to do now.
Do rules. We are picking as many and whatever games we feel like picking this season because we picked probably too many last season. It was hard to keep up with, honestly.
Something tells me we're going to end up picking more.
That is very possible. Not this week, though. I think it's a reasonable amount of games.
Looks through notes.
But maybe.
Reasonable for us.
Okay, we're picking 16 games. It's not that many. It's not. It's really not. We are keeping score, of course, and if one of us is attending... if one of us is attending a game in person, which Bug is not at the moment, but is probably this weekend, we will be picking that game. So even though he is like 70-20, 70-30, I was about to say 75-25, and then I stopped at 70 and said 20 anyway. So then there was a 10% that was very nebulous, out of reach. If he's like 70-30 on whether or not he's even going to this game, but we're picking it anyway. Yeah. Because why not? It's a football game and we want to talk about it. So,
well, there's a pretty good reason why not, and we'll cover that, but I'm all for picking it.
Yeah. So that's not why he's not here, though. The reason he's not here is pretty straightforward. That's because we're bringing back the podiums. And Bug, well, he got SMU'd.
He did get SMU'd.
And so he gets the death penalty. He's canceled for the 1987 season. That's according to the Dallas Morning News.
We almost got New Mexico, but we didn't. We'll get there.
We did not get New Mexico, but you got Georgia Tech.
You know, I'm okay with it. I knew okay with it.
And I gave you the meme.
That's literally my face looking at my scores.
And somehow I pulled it off. The perfect 7-0 week. I'm very excited.
Floss for me right now on camera.
I can't. Also, I'm having Spider-Man do it for me.
Honestly, looking at this is probably our best week ever.
It's up there for sure.
And I understand. It's week 0, but we called collectively all of the upsets -1.
I mean,
there were only 2, but what's up?
What upset are you thinking about that we didn't call? Because we picked every game last week.
You picked all of them.
Yeah. All right.
Collectively, we picked all but one. Georgia Tech's on a different level this year. Man.
That's a weird way of saying that. I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah, basically,
it's confusing me.
I only miss Georgia Tech.
Right. I get it now.
And
I understand.
Bug tried to call an extra upset and just.
So he gets a -1. Yeah. You're even, and I'm +1. So it evens out to we missed one. Still, I don't like it. I don't like that math.
That wasn't the way I was getting there with math.
Yeah, it kind of it be okay, whatever. We're moving on. We're picking some games starting off on Friday because we're not picking the games that are happening live right now. Feels like cheating to start at halftime. We're starting off Friday with the game that Bug is potentially attending. It's Versailles against Knob Noster. Yes, this is high school football. We are picking this game because why the hell not? You can watch this game if you would like to. It streams on MissouriSportsZone.com. It's MOSportsZone.com at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Friday.
Please don't go type in the entirety of Missouri Sports Zone.
It's just MO Sports Zone. Very important.
Are we sure it's 6:30? Because that would be they're in Central Time, aren't they?
Yeah, so 5:30 p.m. kick for them.
That's aggressive. Usually I'm used to seeing Friday Night Lights at 7:30.
I know it is, but I double-checked that.
All right, I trust you.
So, Bug is picking Knob Noster. And
you got to go with the hometown team. I understand that.
Both flipped a coin. Ended up for sales.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking here too, the other piece of it is I know Ben hates the Missouri Tigers, and this logo is 100% their logo. So we're just gonna ride with what Ben hates.
Got a big old V behind it for victory, maybe. Let's go. We can hope. And then also on Friday night we have TCU at Stanford, which is gonna be a fun one purely because this is Stanford's introduction to the ACC. I'm not that TCU is in the ACC, but I'm saying this is Stanford's first game as a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference, even though they are definitely squarely not on the Atlantic Coast. And they'll be playing a team that's much closer to the Atlantic Coast in TCU.
Oh, I wish geography still mattered.
It don't. It just don't.
It really don't.
We are all picking the Horned Frogs, though, in most part because Stanford is not very good.
No, Stanford they're starting to get that upswing again, but they're not there yet. TCU had a rough season last year after losing everybody. They're going to bounce back this year. I don't know if they're going to be a force in the Big 12, but they're going to be a middle to high middle type team this year, I think.
I couldn't handle just our normal purple letters TCU, so I went and found the Horned Frog himself.
I didn't even notice a change, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it very much. I love the little horn buddy.
Just be careful petting it.
Saturday, we get things kicked off in a big way As a matter of fact, we have a neutral site, quote unquote, kickoff
God,
game
how does Georgia keep getting these?
because there's an NFL stadium relatively close. Atlanta is actually not that close to Georgia. It's still like an hour and a half drive. But
Bro, it's
yeah,
within the state that bleeds black and red.
yeah. I'm not disputing that it's a questionable
Like, it's not even like
aspect
Alabama.
of
Like, Georgia Tech's not good enough or has not been good enough to even divide the state yet. Like,
the real way to get a neutral site. Clemson, Georgia, be play it in like Arizona, but that's not going to happen.
play it up in Foxborough. Send it.
Play it in Alaska. Play it
There you
at
go.
that high school field up at the very northern edge of Alaska. On the
No,
blue turf.
no. play it in the stadium that doesn't exist in Hawaii.
Yes. Very neutral site. Play it on the moon. No helmets allowed. You have to breathe the non-existent air. That's probably safer than giving your car keys to a Georgia player.
I
All
knew
right.
that was coming. All right.
Clemson against Georgia. You and I are both picking Georgia, of course.
Yet Georgia's still a more solid team all the way around. I still don't trust Clemson in Dabo, and I'm starting to get traction with my comments on Dabo. His unwillingness to adapt to the changing model of college football is going to negatively affect this program.
See, I agree with that. The problem for me with that statement is that you've been shifting the goalposts on your comments about Dabo for like a couple of years.
No, here's the thing. I'm going with what everyone else can agree with now, but I still don't think he's a great coach, and he needs his top end coordinators that are no longer there. That is still true with what I believe.
So here's the real rub. Their recruiting has always been good, not phenomenal. And they struck gold back to back.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Doesn't happen very often. They're back to Taj Boyd level of quarterback play in Cade Klubnik. And they don't like him because he's not gold. He's
still slightly better than DJU. All that.
Yep.
We should have put that meme on. That was a fantastic meme. The only problem with him is the forward pass was invented in 1904.
So yeah, and also I don't think the back end of this Clemson defense is very good this year compared to up there as potentially the best secondary in college football in the Georgia Bulldogs. So you can say whether or not Georgia's receivers will be good enough to challenge those defensive backs anyway, but I do know that Carson Beck will figure out how to carve them up regardless.
Yeah. Well,
so
and you can make the same argument for Georgia that we make for a lot of teams every year. Oh, well, they lost a lot of talent in the draft. At some point after about the 5th year, I stopped caring about that because they have the depth, and they've shown that year in and year out at this point.
It sounds like a Arby's commercial. They have the depth.
Look, I don't know if I take Georgia all the way this year, but against Clemson, I'm taking Georgia.
Penn State at West Virginia, kind of considered a rivalry, kind of not entirely anymore. Pitt, West Virginia is obviously the much bigger rivalry. Penn State and West Virginia don't love each other. I know that for sure. Should be a pretty fun game. It is at West Virginia, which is exciting. I am banking on the returning now, I believe, senior quarterback and Drew Aller, a couple of really solid running backs. They have improved the receiving core, especially with the transfer from Ohio State, former 5-star from the Pennsylvania area who came to Ohio State and had a couple injury seasons. Didn't live up to his billing necessarily, but Fleming is a phenomenal receiver and will definitely improve that Penn State core if he can stay healthy. And I think Penn State has potential to be a top 5 front 7 on defense this year. And they've been going through having kind of one-off great seasons. from a random defensive back every year. Just the problem for them is the defensive back that has a great season changes every year, so they don't really get drafted very high because they only they only have the one season. But Penn State benefits from it. I expect Penn State to be a solid team again this season, potentially a 10-11 win team. And I'm picking them over West Virginia, but it seems you are not.
Yeah, look, this is going to be a dogfight the entire game. These teams are very well matched with each other. Penn State's coming in, they're going on the road. And again, they have a high ceiling this year. Everyone's starting to get hyped on Penn State, and that means something. However, the other thing we're not looking at, or a lot of people are starting to look at, is there's hype behind West Virginia this year. They're starting to get some traction. They're talking Big 12 title. And look, it's been a long time, a very long time since West Virginia's been relevant. I make no bones saying that. But you get a bunch of, Appalachian hillbillies out there with hope on a Saturday night or a Saturday day, I guess, same. That stadium's going to be something different. I think that's going to be the deciding factor. That's why I'm taking the home team here in what I see as an evenly matched with two teams that want to make a statement to start the season, but the one doing it at home is going to try a little bit harder, make their hometown crowd a little happier.
The other game on this slide here, South Dakota State at Oklahoma State. Potential to see the reigning FCS national champions, back-to-back reigning FCS national champions, heading towards potentially their third straight national championship season, returning a lot of the key players from that championship squad last year against an Oklahoma State school with very big hopes this year, looking to contend for the Big 12 title themselves, and as one of the front runners to do so, not in that West Virginia role of they could be in that conversation. No, it's everybody's looking to Utah and Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They need to come out and prove themselves. I'm picking Oklahoma State here. They are 10-point favorites, but you and Bug are not dissuaded by that.
I can't talk for Bug here. Me personally, I'd love to see the upset here. South Dakota State's last loss was on the road to Iowa in a game they very well could have won. And I expect this. If I were picking this, I'd probably take South Dakota against the spread, right? If I was picking with the spread, it's going to be closer than 10 points. I think it's going to be a single-digit game. I can definitely see Oklahoma State pulling this one out. It would not surprise me. I'm going for a little bit of pride here and think the Jackrabbits want to keep that winning streak alive.
That would be extremely impressive. I think one thing you're discounting deeply is that Iowa's offense fucking sucked ass.
Oh, no, 100%. Fully aware. Fully aware that this is a losing pick for me, but I'm sticking with it.
Fair enough. I can respect that. Moving on, staying on Saturday, Miami at Florida. Now, I am very hyped about this Miami offense. I'm wearing the Canes hat for the first time in BDT podcast history. I don't believe in the Hurricanes historically. I also generally dislike the Hurricanes historically, mostly because of the 2001, 2002 Hurricanes that I just grew up being told I should dislike.
Valid.
We did beat them and ended their dynasty. Ohio State did, so I have no reason to hate them anymore. But I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. If you haven't watched the show before, I was a big fan of his all the way back to Incarnate Word, and then watching
his
him at
freshman
Washington
year
was
was
very
our
exciting.
first year with the podcast, wasn't it?
Yes, and
Wow.
it was a great time. And this
was.
is his last year in college football. He'll be the starting quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. I can't wait to see it. They also have Damian Martinez back there at running back, who was an awesome player to watch at Oregon State. So coming over to a Miami team with a head coach who should know how to coach offensive lines.
Should.
Whether or not he can put it together this year, we'll see. I am rooting hard for Miami this season, if for no other reason than Cam Ward himself. And I would love to see them beat Florida in this first game.
I understand Ben not trusting the U. The U has, for the past 12, 20 years, whatever you want, not given anybody a reason to trust them. This year, I think, is different. It's a new look team. I don't trust Florida to bring anything onto the field. So I'm gonna go with the U. I mean, I guess Florida will attempt to bring an offense and a defense and a special teams on the field, but that's about it. So I'm gonna go with the U here as well.
It'd be very impressive if they were able to have an offense and a defense and a special teams on the field at the same time, and it not be a penalty. I'd be very impressed.
Be very impressed if they somehow still won that game.
Right?
With that on the field. They just do a self
in the huddle.
they just do a self scrimmage, and though the U still wins.
Jeez. All right. Next up, Miami of Ohio. The other Miami playing at Northwestern. Now, this is at Northwestern's practice field, technically, that they have converted into a temporary field for most of this season. They're basically playing on the banks of Lake Michigan, which is a very cool scene. Looks awesome. But I don't know how much faith I can have in Northwestern this year. I know they did some incredible things under David Braun his first year last year. It seems like there's no reason to doubt them, except that Northwestern just does this sometimes. They come in and play very well, and then they decide not to anymore at random points in history. Maybe this is a year that Northwestern doesn't show up. I'm betting on my MAC favorite, Miami of Ohio, to put themselves into the playoff conversation with a starting off with a Big Ten win. I know Northwestern isn't exactly the premier Big Ten program, but if Miami wants to be in playoff conversation, they're going to need to be undefeated, and that includes beating Northwestern. I think they can do it. They still have Brett Gabbert at the helm, and Brett Gabbert is a very solid MAC quarterback. Love to see it. What are you thinking?
Man, I'm taking the gut here. I agree with everything you said. Northwestern does worry me. They're not primed for one of their best seasons. I think they have the chance to take a step forward at home. First game of the season, bunch of feelings, all the good stuff. I'm gonna give the edge to Northwestern here. I can see the path for Miami, but I think I'm gonna favor Northwestern in this game.
I mean, I get it. It's very possible this ends up being like a 24-21 Northwestern, kind of a weird game.
I also need to find a way to catch you by a game, so I gotta differentiate a little bit.
We get different at some points in here somewhere.
Yeah,
this is.
I know. I've already done it a couple times. We're not going for a tie, Doug.
Samford at West Georgia up next, going chronologically here. So the end of our 3:30 slate into our early evening slate. Only picked this game because it's West Georgia's first game as a Division I school. Kind of cool.
Yeah, Samford's going to win.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on. Holy Cross at Rhode Island. Picked this one because it's essentially an entirely new era for Holy Cross football. And it feels like a changing of the guard at Rhode Island as well. Both of these teams can compete for a playoff spot in the FCS. I don't know what to expect from either of them really going into this year. So it should be a good feel-out game on which team I should believe in going forward. I'm going with Holy Cross to start the year. I'm open to being surprised.
Yeah, I see these teams kind of like you said. They were very close last year, had them about even throughout the year. What it broke down to for me, no, it's not that I'm from Rhode Island and we had a chance to pick Rhode Island. What it actually is, I think there was too much change at Holy Cross. A lot of transfers. They lost their head coach to James Madison. That's a lot to deal with in one off season. I think they're going to be fine. I just don't think this is their year. So I'm going to go with the team that has even a fraction more stability here. So I'm going with the stability pick.
The one thing that saves me in my thought of Holy Cross should have some consistency they are bringing in a new coaching staff, yes, but that coaching staff brought their quarterback with them. So
Yeah.
it
Even
can
still,
work.
it's
It might not. Right. I get it. Oh, geez. Wild shit going on in North Dakota State, Colorado. All
yeah,
right,
I've got
moving
that.
on.
I've switched over. Coastal Carolina, Jackson State became a blowout, so I went no.
Central Arkansas at Arkansas State. I, I'm picking Central Arkansas here, and I feel like I could be considered insane. Here's my thinking: Arkansas State has not been good, especially at the start of each season
Fair.
under Butch Jones. Central
This is
Arkansas, we were just talking about teams that don't have consistency, don't have the carryover. Central Arkansas is returning a lot, and there's a lot of potential with the Central Arkansas team. They could go on a tear in the UAC and take over that conference this season. I don't know if it will happen. I feel like it might happen. And if there's a game where they can create some havoc and get under Arkansas State's skin, I mean, starting off in week 1, that's a great time to do it.
no, it absolutely is, and you are correct. We are all still scarred from the what was it, 66-6 last year against
I
Oklahoma for
think it was
Arkansas
worse
State.
than that. I'm pretty sure it
Either
was
way,
worse than that.
I don't see it being anywhere near the same type of game. Central Arkansas, shocker to the world, is not as good as Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was 73-0 Oklahoma in week 1.
More importantly, Arkansas State's at home. They do historically play better at home. And honestly, they are a more talented team up and down the board. It's
I
not
mean, I
drastic.
agree.
It's not a drastic talent difference, but Arkansas State is the better team. I'm going to go with the better team that happens to be at home.
I do agree. My issue is
You don't like Butch Jones.
And I want the upset to happen, so I'm picking it to happen.
That's fair. I've picked a few of those myself.
Next up here, Texas Southern at Prairie View A&M. Feels like the battle for the SWAC West
Last place
in week 1. No, not last place. They might win their division at 5-5. Either one of these teams.
I hate it.
I honestly flipped a coin for this one too. I don't know who's going to win this game. I really don't. It feels like Texas Southern is building up to something decent. Prairie View A&M got the better of everybody out west last year. This is a classic week 1. Just I don't know what to do with these teams yet. Let's watch this game and figure it out.
That's fair. I just have a little bit more trust in Prairie View. So I'm gonna take them in this game and hope for the best.
Bug went for what might be considered the upset, though, Texas Southern. I can totally see it happening, but I went with Prairie View. It was A&M myself as well. The late slate on Saturday starts off with a heater. Notre Dame at Texas A&M. If Notre Dame wants an undefeated season, it starts right now. Better hit the ground running.
I don't trust either of these teams, but for some reason I trust Notre Dame just a little bit more than I trust A&M. And that's the difference for me.
I get that. If this were still the old regime at Texas A&M, which it is not. This is a Mike Elko coached Texas A&M team, and I'm thinking we're going to see something different. So I posed a question in the Discord to you and Ben, but not to the general public, as not to not give anything away. But what actually is more beneficial to your team? A coach going against his former quarterback, or a quarterback going against his former coach? Because that's what we'll have here. Riley Leonard is now at Notre Dame, and Mike Elko is now at Texas A&M. Neither of them at Duke anymore. We have Notre Dame, Texas A&M in week 1. At Kyle Field, too.
So I think it's the quarterback playing against his former coach, because the quarterback can control more of what's going on the field. The coach can call plays and hope his players execute. I have a lot more faith in Riley Leonard than I do in just about anybody Notre Dame or Texas A&M has put behind center for the past few years. So I'm going to go ahead and even more so ride with Notre Dame here, locking the Irish.
I'm picking the upset. It's a
I
home
can
game
see
for
that.
Texas A&M. The first game of the Mike Elko era. I'm all in. Let's go. Let's go, Tamu. I already sound gross. I'm going to stop. All right, Georgia State, Texas Tech. Georgia State, Georgia Tech. This we're all picking Georgia Tech. It's not a surprise. Georgia State's not really that good.
This
Here's
is
the
the
crazy
cupcake
part
game.
about this game. Georgia State and Georgia Tech are like a mile and a half away from each other. Literally. Not kidding. Literally. They have never played before. This is their first time meeting. They're a mile and a half away from each other. That is cool to me. Very excited for that. Also, this is the first of like a 5-week stretch that Georgia State is not leaving Atlanta. They have at Georgia Tech and then like 4 straight home games.
All right.
Kind of fun. It's just cool storylines all around. Also, it's Georgia Tech after their big upset win over Florida State. Can they avoid the emotional kind of letdown against a worse opponent? We're all banking on them doing so, figuring it out.
This would be the most Georgia
too.
Tech thing ever, though, would be to upset the number 10 team and then stop, honestly.
But it is their home opener. I feel like they're going to come out to play anyway. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe not. It's possible.
Anything's
That would
possible.
be very Georgia Tech. 10:30, we have Wyoming at Arizona State. Very excited for this one because of... Go ahead.
I was going to say, can I take my pick on this first? But I'll let you get with what you're excited for.
Sure.
I'll go with what you're excited for.
You go for it.
All right.
Do it.
Number 1, screw Wyoming. Number 2, they're not at home. Number 3, go Sun Devils. Taking Arizona State in this one. I'm going to keep it simple. I hate Wyoming. They're not at home, which is... That honestly probably would have changed my pick if they were in Laramie, but they're not. So deal with it.
This is the first game under new head coach Jay Sawville for Wyoming. I am actually very excited to see how Wyoming does under their new head coach. Craig Bohl was such a consistent, just overbearing force over the Mountain West, dominated at home for seasons upon seasons. They promoted their defensive coordinator to be the new head coach.
The same overbearing presence.
Probably, but
nothing actually changed with this team.
So there are, like, in my mind with this, there are 2 possibilities. Either they continue exactly what they were doing for the past several years, or they nosedive like really hard.
Option 2, please. Can I take door number 2?
I am banking on them staying consistent with this pick. I'm taking Wyoming here.
Very much love for them to open door number 2.
It is very possible that when you bring in your defensive coordinator to be the new head coach, the offense falls off a cliff and the defense doesn't perform as well because the coordinator is no longer able to coordinate. So
I do got to say, I'm proud of you. You've taken a big step forward. You've done what you've always hated, and you've used an absolute. They are either going to continue or they are going to nosedive.
I mean, nosedive in terms of Wyoming football means that now instead of the occasional 7-win season or occasional 5-win season, we're looking at like 3-win seasons, which really isn't that far off what they do anyway.
Somehow one of those is Air Force every year.
Right. They might win 2 games One of them will be against Air Force.
They might win 2 games. 2 of them will be Air Force.
It'll be Air Force and Boise State. And other than that,
Every year, dude. Like, it's not even a joke.
I'm rooting hard for Arizona State. I would love to see that program get back to where they could be, where they have been in the past.
They're on the right path for it now. I think they're on the right track.
They're a ways out.
Yeah, no, they are, but they're on the track.
I agree, but I think they're a ways out, and I think Wyoming, at least to start the season, is gonna keep the boat afloating. That's what I'm hoping for here. Taking the Cowboys.
Nope. Cowboys don't use boats.
Fair. Damn. You're right. I'm still picking the Cowboys. Fuck it. We ball. All right, Sunday, September 1, we have USC at LSU. I really struggled with this. I wanted to pick USC very badly for the sake of the Big Ten because
I found myself in the same debate. I really wanted to take USC, but I couldn't.
There is a very good argument that going from Jaden Daniels to Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a bigger downgrade than it even sounds like. Because honestly, going to be honest with you, Garrett Nussmeier doesn't sound like a great quarterback just off rip.
I'd hate to be the announcer.
We're also expecting, I guess, would be the word for this. We're banking on LSU's defense producing at a level where they just have kind of refused to produce in recent years. Like if Harold Perkins actually goes off for the first time in his career, we've seen potential out of him. We need him to step up for real.
Yep.
Be the leader on this team. I don't know if we can legitimately expect that. It's in Death Valley. I can't really justify picking USC with their new quarterback, Miller Moss, breaking him in Death Valley. I mean, that's just brutal. I don't love LSU this year, though.
I don't either, but LSU, like you're kind of indicating, has 102,000 of their closest friends cheering them on. This one should be LSU. I have seen crazier things. This one should be LSU.
We'll find out Sunday. And then Monday, we have one singular game. We have Boston College at Florida State, which, come on. Are you kidding me? You have the most visible opening game, week 0, in Ireland on national TV.
Ranked number 10.
You get beat. And then you have to go play Boston College in a completely new era for Boston College. Bill O'Brien at the helm now. You don't really know what to expect. Oh, man. So, Bug's picking Boston College here, I think almost as a meme, but also there is some validity to this. Like, I kind of get where he's coming from in a weird way. Look, I got to take Florida State, though. I can't not assume they're going to bounce back.
So, I agree with you. I think Florida State's going to bounce back. My one concern for Florida State is there is a very clear defensive, I don't even say plan, just technique to stop Florida State. Tackle. Open field tackles are how you stop Florida State. Boston College, I think, will be there, say, next year. I don't think they're there yet. Not that they can't open field tackle. I don't think they're going to be able to do it at the rate and limit the gains from the screens and the short yardage passes that Florida State's going to be throwing. I think in the first half, DJU had negative air yards on all of his passes. You know what they're doing. I still think, even though Boston College knows what they're doing, Florida State's just an all-around better team at this point in the season. At this point in the year, Florida State's gonna win this one.
That's the way I'm picking it as well. We'll have to see. I can't believe that's the Monday night game. Labor Day game. We get to see Florida State once again. So Bug actually said he can't wait to see DJU get benched in the first half after sucking again. Which
That's a valid possibility.
that would be so brutal.
I just want to know what he's telling these coaches, what they're seeing on film that he keeps getting recruited.
I don't know, but it'd be great to learn because then I could go play quarterback somewhere.
Yeah, right?
It'd be really fun.
He'd have to enroll again, but details.
I could take some of those bullshit football player classes. Or get some accounting classes under my belt. Finally take that CPA
There you go.
exam. There we go. Now we're thinking.
Then you can do my taxes.
Fuck you. Not doing it anymore. Get me out of here. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for us here, the big dudes in the trenches. Thank you for tuning in.
Watch some football now. Turn us off. Go watch some football.
Thank you for watching college football.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, everybody.
For an end of show, I'm going to do this just because we're streaming during the games. For an end of show kind of score cap here, let me pull it up.
Uh-oh.
We've got North Carolina State leading Western Carolina by 3 halfway through the third quarter.
Western Carolina's driving too.
Yep. NC State has the ball according to ESPN.
Well, I'm watching it live, so they can get fucked.
No, fair enough. Kansas is over Lindenwood. Shocker, I know.
Yeah.
Utah's over Southern University, 14-0. Missouri is dismantling Murray State, 35-0. Southern Utah. I'm sorry. I saw Southern U and went, that's a school. Missouri's currently trampling on Murray State, 35-0. North Carolina and Minnesota are tied nothing at the half. Oh, I'm sorry, nothing at the end of the first. And Colorado is trailing North Dakota State by 3, 20-17 at halftime.
Which is crazy how close they were on that field goal attempt in the half, and they just fucked it up. So that's cool. Yep. Love to see it. Let's go Bison.
Oh, UCF is absolutely. Oh my God, that's not okay. 57-3 UCF over UNH.
Oh yeah, Central Michigan's up 66-10 on Central Connecticut.
56-0 Arkansas over Arkansas Pine Bluff. We could keep going with these. These are your typical week 1 scores that we'd be expecting.
Toledo's up 35-10 on Duquesne, even after DeQuan Finn transferred to Baylor. Let's go, Toledo. Jeez, dude, Western Carolina's moving the dang ball.
Eastern.
So if you didn't catch the beginning of this game, there was a targeting call on NC State's main middle linebacker. He played 400 something snaps for him on defense last year. He got ejected the first drive, and then they've had to try to replace him. And guess what part of the field Western Carolina's been able to attack in the passing game now that the middle linebacker's gone? Oh, wait, the middle of the field? Yeah. So it's working.
All right. Let me go ahead and read some links here. We got our patreon.com/BTFootball, twitch.tv/bigdudesinthetrenches, x.com/BTFootball, facebook.com/BTFootball, instagram.com/BT_football, BDTfootball.com, mailbox@BDTfootball.com, youtube.com/@bigdudesinthetrenches, all one word. And finally, our Discord. Nope, still not reading it. But they will all be linked in the description below. But please, please, please join the Discord. And we will all have a good time.
Oh, yes. That's where I am. While I'm at work, I'm on Discord. While I'm at home, I'm on the Discord.
Checks.
While I'm watching football, I'm on the Discord.
Good.
I'll listen to Ohio State. Then I'm not on the Discord. But other than that.
Do you anything else for the fans out there?
Nope. That's all I got. That's all I can think about.
All right, then. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and or listening, please go watch more football. And just remember, you can't win a game if you can't win in the trenches.